Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so I guess we're tackling a different narrative today. Honestly, I'm a little bit relieved. I'm kind of tired of talking about the same thing over and over again. Enough emphasis on Kamala Harris in the media. And now time to direct our attention into other places. So as per usual with these videos, we gotta lay out the narrative. What is the narrative? Well, of course, we've spoken about it before.
I mean, it's the worst vice presidential pick of my lifetime.
The addition of J.D. Vance to this ticket, it's incredibly bad choice.
Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate. The media jumped swiftly into action, attempting to destroy his brand. And then on the flip side, they told us he's the worst vice presidential pick in American history, the least popular. No one likes him. J.D. Vance sucks. That's what they told us, right? And well, of course, look, J.D. Vance did struggle a little bit to kind of get his stride. He had some awkward moments, some clips from the past that obviously didn't help him. You know, maybe he's not the most charismatic guy. Maybe he's not the greatest campaigner. That's certainly possible. Everybody has their strengths. The idea that J.D. Vance sucks or that he's incompetent, unlikable, or a bad person, it's complete nonsense. It's a media fabrication. And of course, it's kind of like the Trump effect, right? Trump announces his presidency back in 2016. The media does everything to destroy him. His favorability ratings, approval ratings go straight into the dumpster. But then the more we get exposure to Trump, the more we start to like him and the more we realize the media lied about him. Well, the exact same thing I think is happening right now with J.D. Vance. They told you he's the worst thing ever, but actually, J.D. Vance is kind of a badass. You know, I'll say it again, leftoids. Underestimate him at your own peril. You think he's not a threat, he's no competition, but I'd say he's doing pretty damn well as Donald Trump's running mate. Meanwhile, the other guy, little Timothy Walz, well, not so much. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, I have to admit J.D. Vance really impresses me. And really, again, I think it's a skill set thing. Sure, there's some awkward clips of J.D. Vance interacting with people where, you know, he's a little bit socially awkward and the left runs with it, but that doesn't tell the whole story. J.D. Vance isn't Trump. He isn't the guy who walks in the room, gets all the attention, makes everybody feel like $1 million. J.D. Vance, in my view, is more of a technical mind. His skill set is not being an entertainer. His skill set is messaging, debating, speech. In this domain, he is an absolute freaking killer. And he proves it once again going on NBC News with Kristen Welker, where he delivered a straight 10 out of 10 performance.
The Census Bureau estimates there are 22 million women between the ages of 20 and 40 who, for whatever reason, do not have children. What do you say to those women who hear some of your comments, including the childless cat lady comments, which you've been asked about, but who feel as though you won't represent them?
Well, I'd say, first of all, I will represent you. I want to be the vice president for the whole country, and I want to represent everybody. And yes, I made a sarcastic comment years ago that I think that a lot of Democrats have willfully misinterpreted. But what I've simply said is that I think that it's really a profound change that's happened in our country where we become anti-family, and I would like to change that. And I think if you talk to young women, whether they have children or don't want to have children, what you consistently hear is that a lot of young women feel like they don't have options. I saw this with my own wife, who's a working mother, who's a very, very accomplished litigator. She has 3 beautiful kids and always felt like she was having to balance being a good mom with being the kind of litigator that she wanted to be. I just want women to have more choices. I've seen that very personally in my own family, and I think it's something that is broken about our country.
Let me zoom out a little bit.
Please.
Then you're calling it a sarcastic comment.
Sure.
And yet, some women, and you got the feedback in real time, felt like it was a gut punch to them personally. Do you regret making that comment?
Look, I regret certainly that a lot of people took it the wrong way, and I certainly regret that the DNC and Kamala Harris lied about it.
But do you regret what you said, Senator?
Look, Kristen, I'm going to say things from time to time that people disagree with. I'm a real person. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to say things sarcastically, and I think that what's important is that we focus on the policy. There are certainly going to be things that I say. If I'm elected vice president, people are going to say, well, I wish he had said that differently. I think it's most important to actually be the person I actually am and to say those sarcastic comments were made in the service of a real substantive point. This country has become too anti-family. It's too expensive to afford a house. It's too expensive to afford groceries. Donald Trump and I want to change that. And unless we get better leadership, we're not going to.
But again, just very quickly, Given that people have told you directly, have spoken out, have said that they were offended, they were hurt by those comments, do you wish you never made those childless cat lady comments?
I think that it's much more important for me to just be a normal human being who sometimes says things that people disagree with. I have a lot of regrets, Kristen, but making a joke 3 years ago is not in the top 10 of the list.
He comes with the witty remark, absolutely destroying Kamala Harris, and really in the process, destroying this phony, media-driven attempting rewrite of history, that she wasn't actually the border czar, just in charge of addressing the root causes of migration. He hits back with a witty remark, but not only is he quick on his feet, getting that viral moment, but he also comes in with all the facts and actually offers a solution to the issue. Then when persistently challenged on his previous statement relating to childless cat ladies, Kristen Welker tried very hard to get him to bend the knee, and he absolutely refused, and in my view, ended up looking pretty good. Don't be forced to apologize for a previous joke or for a statement made in hyperbolic fashion. At the end of the day, the core content of what you meant, the point, is what's important. People getting offended because you mentioned cat ladies is not relevant. You know, it brings us right back to 2016. One of the big motivating factors to vote for Trump in the first place was to hopefully move past all this PC bullcrap. And so good on JD Vance for refusing to bend the knee to the PC police. Well, that's not politically correct. You should now apologize to everybody who you've offended. How about never? We're all adults here. We can understand the context of what he was saying. It's not a scandal. There's nothing concerning or offensive. Personally, I'm more offended by the idea that people would defend this anti-family culture. I'm more offended by that than I am anything that JD Vance said. And I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people support families. They want to see young Americans having kids, providing value to the nation rather than sucking it dry. I mean, the current culture that we have in the West and major metropolitan areas, frankly, we're in a pathetic state where many of us aren't having children, but rather just living hedonistic, selfish lives, taking and taking and taking. Our population growth isn't keeping up with previous generations, and so we're stuck in this position where we're facing economic stagnation or a shrinking economy. We don't have enough young people growing up to be productive members of society, paying into the system to take care of the older generation, and so the solution is just import the third world. They'll do it for us, while I smoke this little joint and drink this old-fashioned, watching my Netflix and meeting up with my Tinder date every night on repeat over and over again. We need less self-focused hedonism and more family building. You know, that's a policy I can get behind. But of course, leftoids don't want to have that conversation. They just want to keep harking on the same thing. Apologize for saying cat ladies. No, never apologize. And JD Vance did a great job. Again, he explained his stance rationally and then said, look, I'm a person. I've said imperfect things. I've made jokes. And this particular thing that you're mentioning, Kristen, it doesn't even come in the top 10 of things that I regret. Perfectly said. Absolutely acceptable. I have no issue with it. And I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this are probably thinking the same thing. It is what it is. We've all said things. We've all tried to make points while trying to sound witty or a little bit edgy. Who cares? The pearl-clutching Karens can take a frickin' hike, frankly. The media narrative surrounding JD Vance is collapsing and collapsing fast. He's actively redeeming himself, he's defending himself effectively, and most importantly, he's defining himself and going on the offensive. He is flipping the script, and like I mentioned in the intro, I mean, just to finish off the video, all while this is happening in the backdrop, Tim Walz's brand is falling apart. He's got so many scandals, and the scandals keep mounting. Now we're learning that he lied about an association with the Harvard group, I believe. Kind of interesting coming from this guy, by the way.
That angst that J.D. Vance talks about in Hillbilly Elegy, none of my hillbilly cousins went to Yale, and none of them went on to be venture capitalists or whatever.
I had 24 kids in my high school class, and none of them went to Yale.
This guy keeps talking smack about JD Vance because he went to Yale, keeps talking smack about Ivy League schools or Ivy League graduates. Meanwhile, he lied about a Harvard association on his resume, and that's not the only lie that's been exposed. Just this week, additionally, on top of the mountain of lies that have been previously discovered, JD Vance is on a tear, and Tim Walz is looking like an absolute dud. You know, Tim Walz has one shtick. I've been watching this guy go on MSNBC for years. He does the same thing over and over again. He has his staff write him the most partisan attack lines. He delivers these cringe ad hominem attacks, and that's pretty much all he's got. Well, he's probably going to have to debate JD Vance. That's if they don't run away from the debate, these absolute cowards. And frankly, I don't think he stands a chance. I mean, you could just imagine it. It's one thing to be at the DNC and attack people who graduated from good schools. It's another to be face to face with a person and just keep going on and on. You went to Yale. Yeah, that's not an argument, and that's certainly not a political platform. When comparing the two candidates, the media tells you Tim Walz is, he's He's the greatest. He's the country's uncle. He's Joe Biden version 2.0. Yeah, okay. Maybe in the sense that he's a plagiarist and a liar who totally fabricated his resume, then sure. But they talk about Tim Walz as if he's the greatest thing, and JD Vance is so horrible, irredeemable, the worst. Well, obviously that isn't the case now, is it? And the more exposure we get, the more that becomes evident. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.